Welcome. I'm Tracy Smith, and this is Here Comes the Sun, a closer look at some of the people, places, and things we bring you every weekend on Sunday morning. Actor Adrien Brody's career-defining role in The Pianist earned him the Academy Award for Best Actor in 2003, the youngest person ever to win that category. His latest portrayal of a Hungarian immigrant in The Brutalist won him the Golden Globe for Best Actor in a Motion Picture Drama in January. The 51-year-old Brody has been acting on screen since he was a kid, and he credits his mother with making him comfortable in front of the camera. Adrien Brody was raised in Queens. His father, Elliot, is a retired teacher. His mother, Sylvia Plahy, is a renowned photographer.
As an only child and the son of a photographer, I was her favorite subject. And so I had a lens from a very nurturing and ever-present perspective on me. And I think that also helped as a film actor.
You were comfortable in front of a camera?
Yes.
Thanks to Mom?
Yes, thanks to Mom.
Later in the show, Adrien Brody on a missed opportunity to appear in one of the biggest blockbuster franchises.
You turned Lord of the Rings down, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I turned down the audition. I didn't get offered it. I didn't even want to go audition. By the way, when I saw Lord of the Rings, I was blown away by it and sat as the credits rolled, deeply regretting my decision to pass on the audition. I remember I was with my girlfriend at the time, who was an actress, and she turned to me, and we saw it, and she turned to me and she goes, "You passed on Lord of the Rings."
Then a box office hit and a powerful score go together like, well, a movie and popcorn. Orchestras around the country are treating fans to live musical accompaniment to film favorites, including Jaws and Jurassic Park. David Pogue shows us how the New York Philharmonic is using movies to strike a chord with new audiences.
For the Philharmonic's former acting CEO, Deborah Borda, one of the best features of live movie scores is the way they attract new and younger audiences to the concert hall.
Almost 50% of the people who come to our film series are first-time attendees of the New York Philharmonic and the first time in the hall.
For the conductor, these shows are tricky. You have to keep one eye on the musicians, one eye on your score, and one eye on this special monitor.
That's all coming up right here on Here Comes the Sun. Adrien Brody plays an architect and Hungarian immigrant starting a new life in the U.S. in the aftermath of World War II in his latest film, The Brutalist. It's something he knows a thing or two about, his own family having moved to the U.S. in the 1950s. In fact, he told me he even used his own Hungarian grandfather as an inspiration for his character.
Hi.
Hello.
Thank you.
How are you?
Thank you.
I'm Adrien.
Very nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
Kate.
On a boat called the Manhattan, Adrien Brody and I sailed into New York Harbor. Destination, the Statue of Liberty.
Look at this.
Look at this.
Oh my goodness.
Hey.
Wow. You've been out here before?
I have been out here. It's been some time. I spent time with my mom, who is an amazing photographer.
His mom is also an immigrant who came to America in 1958.
My mother and my grandparents fled Hungary during the revolution. There was so much unknown and a lot of loss, and all of those sacrifices have kind of laid the foundation for my own existence and what has been accessible to me.
Adrien Brody's immigrant roots make his latest film, The Brutalist, a deeply personal one. It's a sweeping, decades-long tale of love, ambition, and a complicated American dream, all centered around one man, Laszlo Toth.
I would like to draw something and present it to you.
He's a Jewish-Hungarian architect who survives the horrors of World War II and is forced to toil through poverty and rebuild.
These are yours, yes?
Yes.
Tell me, why is an accomplished foreign architect shoveling coal here in Philadelphia?
He's hired by a wealthy industrialist to build a massive community center in his Brutalist style, a form of architecture that's light on decoration and heavy on concrete.
Concrete. It's not very attractive. But fortunately, the building's aesthetic is not yours to resolve, Mr. Woodrow.
To get Toth just right, Brody drew on his memories of his Hungarian grandfather.
I remember my grandfather's accent was very, very heavy. And
So do you hear your grandfather's voice a little bit in this character in Laszlo?
Definitely. I conjure it up. I also knew every bad word in Hungarian as a kid, so I infused some of that in it that's not in the script.
Oscar buzz is high, but at 3.5 hours, it requires a commitment.
Were you at all worried about the duration of the film?
This is an event. Generations before us, you could expect to see something like this in a theater, but that's becoming much more rare today. And we all need to be fed nourishing meals, and this is one of them.
At 51, Brody's portrayal of a man rebuilding his life after a war makes for a fascinating counterpoint to a role he played more than 2 decades ago. His Oscar-winning performance of a man enduring the horrors of war in The Pianist.
I'm sorry, I did my best. The certificates would save us.
To play Władysław Szpilman, the real-life pianist who survived the Nazi occupation of Poland. Brody virtually starved himself, losing 30 pounds, all while learning to play the piano.
I learned to play Chopin. The focus on that quelled the pangs of hunger.
The music quelled the hunger
absolutely,
pains?
Absolutely, because it was a kind of meditative, intensely focused activity where I was memorizing, and I became quite proficient at playing minutes of Chopin's Nocturne and a ballade, and I don't even read music.
At 29, he was the youngest man to ever win the Oscar for Best Actor. The child of an immigrant was living his own American dream.
Do you remember running up and down these streets as a little guy?
Yeah, I lived on these streets. I used to get in a lot of trouble here.
Adrien Brody was raised in Queens. His father, Elliot, is a retired teacher. His mother, Sylvia Plahi, is a renowned photographer.
As an only child and the son of a photographer, I was her favorite subject. And so I had a lens from a very nurturing and ever-present perspective on me. And I think that also helped as a film actor.
You were comfortable in front of a camera?
Yes.
Thanks to Mom?
Yes, thanks to Mom.
He dabbled in magic, calling himself the Amazing Adrien, but settled on acting by middle school. At 13, he landed a leading role as a rebellious orphan in a made-for-TV movie, Home at Last.
I haven't seen anything that looks like fun. All I see is rules and work.
I remember thinking how I never wanted it to end. And that sense of joy that I get from it and that immersion, it's never gone away.
Brody aged into a mohawked punk rocker in Spike Lee's Summer of Sam.
You think I'm the son of Sam, really? You think I'm the son of Sam? Come on.
He's carried a blockbuster like King Kong and shown some whimsy in his 5 films with director Wes Anderson.
I don't get it.
Of course you don't.
Am I too old?
Of course you are.
Why is this good?
It isn't good. Wrong idea. He's given me a lot of opportunity to do comedic work, more overtly comedic stuff, which at the time when we started working together, I think people just thought I was a serious actor.
The Brutalist is a return to his serious side.
Who do you mean?
The people here, they do not want us here.
And maybe a reminder that, as an artist, Adrien Brody is up for anything.
It's a nice moment right now. It's a very nice moment.
When you're not working, what makes you happy?
Lots of things. I need to be creatively immersed. So that may be fulfilled through cooking, through painting, through making music. I'm a pretty good cook.
What do you make?
I mean, hot dogs. No, I'm kidding. What do you like? You tell me what would you like. I can whip something up. You can come over one day. Come see the artwork. I'll whip up something to eat. You can make some good cocktails.
You're a mixologist as well?
Oh, I can hook it up.
Okay, what can you not do?
Keep my mouth shut. You need to learn that one.
And on that note...
Up next, an exclusive excerpt from my chat with Adrien Brody, something you can only see right here on Here Comes the Sun. Stay with us. As promised, here's more from my interview with Adrien Brody.
Were you always steadily working? Because I think to an outsider it looks like, oh, you always were steadily working. Were there peaks and valleys?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, a working actor, doing independent films, it's a challenging journey. It really is. Like I said, I've been doing it for so long, so you look back and you go, yeah, well, there's a body of work there. But there were plenty of intervals between that where it was quite hopeless, and you never knew if you'd get another job. I mean, that was
the hopeless, really?
Oh yeah. I mean, I hopeless, but I'm dramatic. I'm an actor. It was. You had no sense whether or not you would get meaningful work ever again.
How did you prepare for this role in The Brutalist?
I've had a lifetime of influences that and preparation, so to speak, to portray Laszlo in this movie, and it's a character that I relate to many things, and I see a lot of parallels in my own yearnings as an artist and in the yearnings of the people that I collaborate with. I can relate to how the struggles my mother has had to overcome in fleeing Hungary with her parents and my grandparents in 1956 during the revolution, and her journey coming to America and the sense of loss as a young girl and starting again. And it's really shaped. I think she's an empathetic person by nature, but she has a certain sensitivity and eye for others and those who are vulnerable or outsiders, and captures that quite beautifully. And in some way, that's, I feel, led me down a certain path and some of my choices as an actor, and trying to find films that have social relevance or to represent people who don't have a voice, and to give them that through me in some respect.
You turned Lord of the Rings down, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I turned down the audition. I didn't get offered it. I didn't even want to go audition. By the way, when I saw Lord of the Rings, I was blown away by it and sat as the credits rolled, deeply regretting my decision to pass on the audition. I remember I was with my girlfriend at the time, who was an actress, and she turned to me, and we saw it, and she turned to me and she goes, "You passed on Lord of the Rings." That's how that story came about.
The last line of The Brutalist, I just want to make sure I get this right, is the woman who plays your niece quoting something that your character says, which is, no matter what the author's trying to sell you, it's the destination, not the journey. You think that's true?
I don't think that sentiment applies to my journey at all, but I do find it very beautiful and telling to the storytelling of the film. You have to be very present and embrace the journey, because that is all you've got while you're here. I mean, a part of me would love to be proud of the body of work that I leave behind, but I won't be around to look back at it. So hopefully I bring more good than bad and negativity into this world, and that's what I strive for.
Up next, making movie music the star of the show. Welcome back. In the early days of cinema, music was played live to accompany a movie. These days, the scores and sound design are usually carefully crafted for a film behind the scenes, making what orchestras around the country are doing now so special. David Pogue explains how moviegoers are hearing films in a whole new way.
Hooper, where are you?
The worst way to watch Jaws is like this.
Now!
Without music.
Shoot! Now!
A good way to watch it is with John Williams' famous score coming from your speakers.
Time!
But the best way to watch Jaws might be with a live orchestra playing that score. In the silent film days, live music always accompanied movies, and movies were events.
Over the years, theaters got smaller, then people started watching it on their television, then they watched it on their computer, then they watched it on their phone.
Steve Linder is the co-founder of Film Concerts Live, one of several companies that rent out the sheet music and equipment that orchestras need to perform one of these movies.
What we do is we bring it back, bring movie going back to what it was originally intended to be, with live music and in a communal experience.
The New York Philharmonic plays for 4 movies a year at Lincoln Center. Almost every showing is sold out.
A live orchestra absolutely reaches people in a way that no recorded sound can even approximate. It's like you're sitting in the middle of the orchestra.
But for the Philharmonic's former acting CEO, Deborah Borda, one of the best features of live movie scores is the way they attract new and younger audiences to the concert hall.
Almost 50% of the people who come to our film series are first-time attendees of the New York Philharmonic and the first time in the hall.
For the conductor, these shows are tricky. You have to keep one eye on the musicians, one eye on your score, and one eye on this special monitor. For example, in this scene from The Princess Bride, when the dread pirate Roberts hits the ground, there's supposed to be a big chord. But how do I know exactly when that landing is going to happen so I can bring in the orchestra? That's the purpose of these vertical moving bars. They're called streamers. Those streamers and the bright pop are like countdowns to important musical moments. When the streamer hits the right edge of the screen, boom! So among fellow conductors, is there any, you're doing a crowd pleaser, we do art. Is there any of that?
What anybody thinks of what I'm doing is really none of my business, but all I know is that when I turn around for my score to address the audience, every seat is filled.
Anthony Parnther conducted the Philharmonic screenings of Jaws, but his main gig is conducting the Hollywood recording sessions for the actual films. In terms of your flexibility with tempos and dynamics, is there any difference between conducting the film score in the studio and conducting it here in front of an audience?
So I have a little bit of license to phrase the orchestra around the streamers.
Huh. So from night to night, there could be some variance?
There could be a little bit of variance, and I think that's what makes these particularly appealing for the musicians to perform and for conductors to conduct.
These days, there are over 1,000 live orchestra movie screenings a year. The classic blockbusters usually work best.
It has to be great music that the audience wants to hear, of course, but also it has to be great music that the orchestra is interested in playing.
Oh, that's right. The musicians are part of this too. Recognize it.
Yeah.
Harry Potter.
It's Harry Potter.
Ryan Roberts is the New York Phil's English horn and oboe player. Unfortunately, he sits directly under the screen, so he never gets to see any of the movies, even when he's not playing. Right?
But we have a few sneaky ways of watching the movie in the woodwind section. My favorite one, and I actually have it right here, is the rear view mirror.
No!
This is literally a rear view mirror from Amazon, and we tape it right on top of our stand lights.
And management approves of this?
I plead the fifth.
You do 4 performances of each movie, and you do 4 movies in a season, and they all sell out. So shouldn't you do 10 performances of each movie?
Well,
David Pogue revolutionizes the modern orchestra.
David Pogue will destroy the modern orchestra. This is a symphony orchestra. We play Mahler, we play Bach, we play Mozart. So we have a responsibility to the canon of music. And no, we're not a movie house, we're a symphony orchestra.
Well, okay. But even Deborah Borda acknowledges that live orchestra movies have become a popular and important option for American orchestras.
We should be places that are integrated into the fabric of the community. And so we want the New York Philharmonic to be as popular as the New York Yankees or the Mets. And movies can help get us there.
I'm Tracy Smith. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you here next time on Here Comes the Sun.